The Sixth Axis podcast.
Hello and welcome to part of our Year According to series of podcasts where we talk to developers and people from the gaming community as well as TSA staff about their 2015. As usual, I'm your host, Chris Lipscomb, and today I am joined by Mariina Hallikainen, who is the CEO of Colossal Order, who are probably best known for Cities Skylines, I would imagine, this year, and also the Cities in Motion games before that. Hello, Mariina.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you. For you, I would guess the big part of this year has been Cities Skylines.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely the game we kind of set out to do back in 2009 when we founded Colossal Order, and it's been a really great year for us.
I mean, how did you find the reception to the game?
Well, I mean, it totally surprised us, having made very niche games before with Cities in Motion. Those mass transit simulators haven't been the most popular topic out there in games, but City Skylines was really successful, and it's been really amazing to work on that game. And I myself and the team were super happy that people have actually found the game interesting, and people just seem to love to play it, so that's really excellent.
Yeah, I actually really like Cities in Motion myself. It's kind of a little bit intimidating because it's so deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Cities in Motion. It's a lovely game.
Oh, thank you.
With Skylines, a lot of people talked about that hasn't been a very good city building game for a long time, and in my opinion, you've corrected that. And got things right where the new SimCity game that came out from Maxis a couple of years ago now, and also Cities XXL did. I mean, how have you approached it differently, do you think?
I think the whole point when we actually started to plan to make our own city builder, this was really way back, and we were just looking at those really classic city builders from basically 90s and early 2000. I'm talking about SimCity 2000 and SimCity 4, and we just really felt that there is not enough simulation games out there, and we really wanted to kind of tackle that, because for us, city builders are the kind of almost like a holy grail of simulation games. So it was really taking the inspiration from those old classic games, and then just our main point was to give as much power to the player as possible and have really big maps and give options, and the modding tools definitely being something very much in the spirit of that.
Sure. So there was this kind of slight confusion where you had Cities Skylines and Cities XXL coming out at similar times, with a lot of people getting confused about the names. Did that frustrate you slightly?
Well, I mean, in the end, luckily, it didn't really bother us that much. I mean, there was a slight confusion, but I think Paradox, our publisher, did a good job kind of correcting that. And I mean, you know, naming the games, that's always quite tricky. And you know, we actually did have a very different kind of name for the game in the beginning, but for obvious reasons it wouldn't fly with Paradox, because we called it Colossal Cities, and so I basically blamed the publisher for the name. So
that's always a good tack to take.
Yeah,
actually pass it off on them.
Exactly, that's what they're for.
But on the more technical side of things as well, you obviously had to broaden it out from that pure just the transport simulation element to the whole city, and you described it as the holy grail of these kind of simulation games. I mean, I imagine it was a very big challenge for your team.
Well, sure. I mean, there's a reason why we didn't attempt to make the city builder when we first started back in 2009, and we decided that we want to focus on one aspect of the city building game. But we had the team at Colossal Order is fantastic. The guys are super talented. They know exactly what they're doing. And I feel that Cities in Motion games really were the kind of stepping stones toward a full-blown city builder. And it really did help us to figure out a lot of things with performances and just, technical issues that one might have with simulation games. And I feel that it was kind of right time for us to take on this challenge.
And you've obviously had the post-release support now with the After Dark expansion, adding the day-night cycles and those kind of things, which I really like that you've added that. Not that it's just kind of a cosmetic change, but it really changes the way the city works as well.
Yeah.
And how did you find that, again, coming out and getting that out so not so soon after release, but within a year of your releasing City Skylines?
Yeah, basically, when working with Paradox, they have a very good model for post-release content, I think, which they have with Crusader Kings and CK2 and EU4. And it's really about making those more substantial expansions and having some free content to come with that. And I think that fits City Skylines really well. And with After Dark, there's a funny story with that, because basically after the release in March, we had a couple of free patches with like tunnels and European buildings coming out. And we started to work on an expansion, and it really wasn't the After Dark one. It was something else. And we just really weren't kind of feeling it. It was like we had planned it from the beginning, and people were just asking for the day and night cycle. They were just like, we need this in the game. And we were thinking that we don't want to make just a visual change. So we were very hesitant to attempt it. And then it was one Friday afternoon, our programmers just prototyped like how could it be with the day and night cycle, and it really looked fantastic. We just decided that okay, we're gonna scrap the first idea and then go with this. And that I think that terrified our publisher seriously. They were like, "Are you seriously gonna change the whole thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is a good thing. Trust us." And it's really amazing how the team just took that on, and they really, really made it work. And I think we don't really want to make just visual changes, and we kind of try to take that into account in the design, that when we do something for the game, it needs to have a bigger impact than just having a visual change for the day and night cycle, for example.
And you talked about the fact that it's a division of paid content and free content that came with this, where you kind of had a free patch that added some of the features, but if you want everything, you have to buy the expansion.
Yeah.
And you're saying that comes from Paradox, but how do you feel about that as well, that you are kind of still supporting the game while also opening up like new content for your customers to buy?
I think it's really important. I think the whole kind of DLC, the idea behind it is really so that we really want to support the game in the long run. And if we have everything behind a paywall, I think that doesn't serve the game right. I mean, there's a lot of things we want to also bring to the game, which is something that I think that everybody should have who has already bought the game, or then it might attract more customers or players in the long run. So I think it's something that it's a very good strategy to have. And if you think about City Skylines, I mean, we were 1 year ago still, we were 9 people working at Colossal Order, and nowadays we're 15. So we have had a very good growth on that end. But we had 1.5 years development time. There was no way to have absolutely everything we wanted in the game. And it's very good for us to be able to actually add those things that we wanted in the game in the beginning, but couldn't, make those happen. So there's a lot of things to come still, and definitely free content and paid as well. Because the sad truth is that we also need to get paid for our work, so we have to keep selling something.
I think people recognize that, and it kind of, in my opinion, if you're giving sort of some of the content away for free, it's a taster that can make people more inclined to buy the full product. Yeah,
and I think it's really important there to give choice to the players, because, for example, if you think about After Dark, for example, we really brought the kind of things that really enhance the game for everybody, like the day and night cycle itself. But then you have more kind of tools to work with that. Those are then the paid expansion. And I think it's exactly so that the player can then choose that if they are happy with what they have, or if they want to kind of get something more, then they can buy the expansion. But it's really not something that we want to force people to do. And I have to say, I really, really, I'm so happy with the community we have around City Skylines, because people have been telling, it's like, yeah, we will basically buy this to support you guys. And it's amazing, but I also hope that the content is worth it, so that it's not just charity.
But I think that's where the things, when you've got a slightly more niche product, which sim management games are more niche than big AAA titles. It's in a way, it's easier to build a very passionate community about that, because the people who like these type of games do tend to be more invested and more involved.
Absolutely, and it's really amazing with the modding community that we have. They are really just fantastic, and they have devoted so much time to improving the game and just bringing some crazy stuff as well.
Well, we'll come back to your community later, but for now, we want one of the things we also ask our guests to do on these podcasts is to highlight some games that they've been playing this year. And for your first one, you have selected a game I haven't heard of before, which is Robot Unicorn Attack 2, which you told me is an Android game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a fantastic game. Everybody should try it. It's basically Robot Unicorn Attack was something that I found like years ago, and it was just a browser game kind of thing. Those like endless running games where you just there's basically just two controls, jump and dash. And the fabulous robot unicorn is running around, and you basically just jump obstacles and dash through things, and it's really fun. And the best part of it is that it had this sound track or the song, which is I don't know how this Erasure or it's a British guy, and the song is called Always, and it's a really like a phenomenon, the whole thing. And I was super happy. I actually found it like, it was not just a few weeks ago, I noticed that there's an actual mobile version of that game. And I just had to try it. So Robot Unicorn Attack 2. And I actually thought it was just released, but it was actually, it has been out for a couple of years now, but I only found it just a few weeks ago. It's really, really well made. I think it's really fun. And it's even though the mobile version doesn't have that song, it's like I hear it in my head all the time when I'm playing the game. So, because I do travel quite a bit, so it's nice to have something to play on mobile as well.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point. And with these kind of games, where I imagine you're generally a fairly busy person, so it's nice to have something you can just play for 5 minutes as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's really just waiting for the plane or something like that at the airport. There's really not that much to do, so these kind of games really kind of make my day better.
I like that you've picked something quite different as well from the games that you make.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I love playing our own game as well, but it's like we have been developing it for quite a while, and it's really something that with City Skylines you have to put a lot of time to it. So I like to have something like super different when I actually get to play games, which I don't get to do that much, I have to say.
You hear that a lot from people who kind of build games, that because it is a very timely activity, it's not easy to make games, and one of the things is you don't have the time. At the end of the day, you kind of do not want to see games anymore after you've been building them for the whole day.
Yeah, it's like I tend to find like things to do which has nothing to do with computers or games. It's really something that I need kind of a break from all that to have a balance in life, I think it's really important. But of course, in the team, for example, here at Colossal, we have a couple of guys who are just like really like hardcore gamers, and they basically just live that. That's their hobby as well. But then it's fun to see that people actually play very different kind of games than what we make. And I think it's really that's the kind of variation they need to find that balance. But it's still kind of gaming altogether, work and free time.
Yeah, I think it's quite important to have that variety to kind of keep you informed about things more broadly, because you never know where you're going to find like new concepts and new ideas. And if you're only playing games that are like the games you make, you're obviously going to miss out on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's really something that I think there's really in games. I mean, there are those people who only play certain types of games, but then I mean, there's so much options out there, and it's just, for example, I actually do love Worms Armageddon.
Oh yeah,
on Xbox. Mainly because that's the only game where I can beat my boyfriend. so that's fun.
That's a good reason.
But, just different kind of games, and I don't think you should be too like stuck on one thing.
Well, we were talking about your community before, and you were saying you're very appreciative of them. How have you found their input into the kind of the post-release process?
Well, basically, I mean, the community is really fantastic, because they are not only creating, those amazing mods, but they are very, very helpful to us, discussing with us that where would we want to take the game. And I think it's very important to have that feedback from the players themselves. Now, post-release, we can really just see that what people are suggesting, what's their feedback, and then kind of develop the game forward based on that.
And you talked about their modding a lot. Are there any particularly sort of mods you'd like to highlight that you found really unusual or really funny?
Well, we're going to have to talk about Chirper. Poor Chirper. He's basically my baby, because I really was the one kind of coming up with that idea, which then around the release of City Skylines, people they're very vocal about the Chirper, and it's the little kind of bird that tells you how people are feeling in a very Twitter-like way. And it seemed that it totally divided people. There were like 10% of people who were like, yeah, it's fine, and then 90% really hating him. And, it's I had to explain myself many times to the community, because they were like, you need to remove this, and I said, no, I don't want to remove it. It's a really important part of this game. So immediately after the release, there was like ton of mods, basically, like it was something like Chirper, ban Chirper, and all of these kind of that actually removed this feature from the game completely. But what I find very, very funny and amazing is that there's actually a mod called Reddit for Chirpy. So people actually were kind of embracing the bird after a while. And really just, there's really a mod that on Reddit you can basically write lines for the Chirper, and then they will show up in the game if you have the mod active. So I think that's really funny.
That's brilliant. I really like that. I'm surprised that some people don't like it, because it feels like it's a really valuable tool as part of the game. I
don't know. I feel that he's so misunderstood, and but it's definitely something that will stay there. Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
Good. We've talked about Skylines After Dark as well. But was there anything? What else have you got planned coming for the game? Have you got any future stuff that you want to talk about coming? Well,
unfortunately, I think our publisher would basically hate me if I go and reveal anything that we're working on. But it's really something that for City Skylines we're very much looking forward to work on the game for the long run, and we have a really cool thing coming up sometime that we are working on currently. And I hope people will like it.
And you also talked about the growth of the studio. How have you found that growing out from 9 to 15? Are you planning to expand further as well?
I mean, we do have a couple of positions kind of quietly we're looking for, like talented and skilled programmer. And we would also love to find one more senior artist. But this is something that we're really just taking our time with it, because Colossal Order is all about people actually enjoying the work, and we want to find people who really fit the team. And we don't have a huge pressure growing the company, which is great for us. It gives us time to kind of do this organic growth. And all the people working here at Colossal, they're really just, we're basically having a blast making the games together. And it's very, very important to kind of maintain that spirit. And we do have plans to make another game. So basically, we will have part of the team focusing on City Skylines, and then we're going to start to build something new. And we're basically just taking our time with it, and then trying to find suitable people to kind of fill that team, the need that these projects will create. But I think Colossal Order has a very bright future ahead of it, and we're just taking it slowly and see where where things go.
I find it really interesting that the kind of the studio culture and all of that is so important to you. And have you very sort of actively tried to keep it quite a small studio? Before,
we actually couldn't afford hiring people more than what we had the 9. So it has been kind of, we have had to make it work with the resources we've had. And now with the success of City Skylines, I mean, our revenue is 15 times what it was last year, which is great for us. So we basically now have options to start kind of building new things. And but I think that with the small, like what do you need to have when making this kind of creative work is that you need to have a really, really open environment. And I do feel that especially our owners, the company is basically owned by the employees. So it's very important for them to kind of keep it as a, like, first it needs to be a workplace where you enjoy working with the people you have there and you enjoy working on the projects. And the best thing is that we actually get to very much decide what we do. Which is also in this kind of creative work very, very important, because we don't want to force people to make games that they don't love to do, except for one, which is Stable Manager, which will happen one day. I will make sure of it, and the team is really not happy about it. But I am confident that after many years of basically like harassing them about this, they will cave. So that's the game I want to make.
I like it. I could see playing that. I could see that.
Yeah, it's very much. I mean, I love horses. If you haven't noticed yet, I mean, so it's definitely something that we need to do at some point.
And also, you were telling me before we were recording, you won Finnish Game Developer of the Year this year.
Yeah, that was really amazing. It's very amazing because in Finland there's very much success on the mobile side.
Okay, yeah.
So there's Supercell, Rovio, really these super successful companies.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm still quite speechless about it, because what the judges were basically saying when they gave that award to us was that this is a company that has really kind of found their own way. And that was just so amazing that people have actually noticed what we do, and we got this recognition from the Finnish gaming community, or the game developer community. So it is very much appreciated.
That's great, particularly up against that kind of competition as well. For you still being quite a small studio, that's an awesome achievement.
Yeah, and I think it's good to be as sort of a role model to other companies, because one of the things is also that we're actually based in Tampere, which is not in the capital area. So we're north from Helsinki, where it seems that everything is always happening in Helsinki. And I think it's really something that is good for Finnish game developers to see that you don't have to actually be based there to find success. And I think, and hopefully this will also make it so that we start to see bigger things from other parts of Finland as well.
You also had sort of some personal success this year where you gave a talk at Unite Europe.
Yeah, there was a keynote there, which was really intimidating and amazing at the same time. I mean, especially because the audience tends to be very, tech savvy, and I really, am not. It was pretty cool.
I mean, obviously it is intimidating to go up on stage like that, but do you think it went well in the end?
Yeah, definitely. And I got a lot of people coming up to me after that, and they were just super impressed by the game and just wanted to talk. How did you make the modding work? And because I'm very smart, I actually took our technical director with me, and then I was like, "This is our, technical director. Please discuss the modding." So it worked out really, really great. And I mean, Unite is that was my first time in Unite, and it's a great event. I mean, so many creative minds in the same place, and just, I love game industry because people are willing to exchange their knowledge. I think that's the biggest thing, and has been one of the biggest thing helping us here in Finland, that when we actually started the company, I could go and talk with people from Remedy, Red Links, all of these Frozen Byte, Housemarque, big Finnish studios, and just ask like, hey, we are basically gonna start a studio and start making a mass transit simulator game. Tell me everything you know.
Well, that kind of input from the broader developer community is really useful.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that, some other industries would also kind of be more open, because I think that would be very good for business.
Absolutely. Before you were talking about your love of horses, which comes up in the second game you've selected to talk about for 2015, which was Kingdom, which I've played and I absolutely love.
Yeah. Kingdom, it has a horse in it. So basically that is the main reason why I actually even noticed this game. I was in Gamescom in Cologne.
Okay.
And over there, I met with, or I was in the kind of the trade area side, and there was the Nordic booth, and there was Raw Fury Games, which is a new they call themselves Unpublisher from Sweden, and I know the guys, so I went to say hi, and then I saw the game there, and I was like, "What is this? Tell me everything about it." And they were so kind; they actually gave me beta keys, so I was super lucky to get my hands on the game, like really soon after Gamescom. And it's just, I mean, the horse there, it is so amazing. We need one of those at home as well, because he does eat, but he never poops. So that is pretty fabulous. And the game itself, I mean, I think it's very enjoyable because it has this very kind of puzzle feel to it. And I got totally hooked on it.
I mean, it's kind of a sim management game, but at the opposite end of the scale to Cities Skylines.
Yeah.
Because it's so refined and cut down.
Yeah. And I think it's just one of those examples of, I mean, if I understood correctly, there were two guys making that game.
Yeah, so, I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you don't have to have a huge studio to make something really, really amazing. And I think Kingdom is a great example of a very, very good indie game.
I think for me, it's the concept of just picking an idea and focusing on that so perfectly that the game just, because for me the whole thing is that they've just made this incredibly simple, all you've got is gold idea, and you have to go and physically do everything you want to do yourself. Yeah, and it's such a difference from the kind of God overview you get in a normal sim management game that it really makes it stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the kind of in game development, it's usually so that you kind of, that is the most difficult thing, to be very, very, like, basically focus on certain things. And I think they have, as you said, done it very, very well. So it is because, generally we here at Colossal as well suffer from the fact that people have so many ideas in a sense that we would want to put absolutely everything there, but then you just have to be smart about it and really, really think that what makes sense for the game. And I think Kingdom in its kind of simplicity, it's really brilliant.
It really is. They've just done a fabulous job on it. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you today, Mariina. I look forward to the future of the Colossal Order titles, even if you can't talk about quite what they are yet.
Yeah.
And I shall look forward to the day your stable simulator finally sees the light of day.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe 2023 or something.
Okay, yeah. I'll make sure I watch out in 8 years. Hopefully we'll get it then. Have you got any social media stuff you'd like to quickly give out at the end?
Well, basically just follow Colossal Order on Twitter and Facebook.
Awesome. And if you haven't bought City Skylines, you should definitely go buy it. It's a very good game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for talking to us today. This has been part of our Year According to podcasts, and we'll be back very soon with even more interviews with great people from the gaming industry. Goodbye.
The Sixth Axis podcast.